Which 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion was the best? Since Big Bill France put the wheels of the National Association for Stock Car Racing, or NASCAR, into motion back in 1947 at the Streamline Hotel in Daytona Beach, Florida, we as fans have bared witness to so many drivers try their hand behind the wheel of one of the many different generations of race cars found in NASCAR. Well, as many fans that watch regularly know, NASCAR has grown tremendously throughout its over 75-year history, branching off into the top 3 touring series of NASCAR that we have today: the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and the Craftsman Truck Series. The elite of the elite in the world of stock car racing is the Cup Series, originally called the NASCAR Grand National Series. The change came in 1972 when R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company began sponsoring the Grand National Series, changing its name to the Winston Cup Series. They would leave NASCAR at the conclusion of the 2003 season, being replaced since then by several different Fortune 500 companies. One thing that remained through all the changes and or evolution of NASCAR, that is that at the end of the season, we crown a champion. Now, in all fairness, the way in which we find our champion has changed a lot over the years. Yet, even through all the point system changes, winning a NASCAR Cup Series championship is difficult. At the time of the recording of this video, in the summer of 2025, we've had just over 3,000 different drivers make starts in the NASCAR Cup Series since its inception, with only 204 of said 3,000 ever taking the checkered flag in the Cup Series. As far as championships, there's 36 different drivers who's won at least one. But there's 3 different drivers, each of their own generation essentially, who's won 7 championships apiece. The King, Richard Petty; the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt; and Superman, Jimmie Johnson. Each driver was incredible in their prime, but each came in a bit of a different era with different circumstances. Let's start with the King, Richard Petty. After all, he is the king of our sport. He's called the King because he holds so many statistical records in the NASCAR Cup Series. Some of the King's incredible accomplishments along the way in the NASCAR Cup Series were a record 27 wins in a single season, including 10 in a row, both coming in 1967. He was a crown jewel winner. He won the Daytona 500 7 times, in 1964, 66, 67, 71, 73, 74, 79, and the final coming in 1981. He won the Coca-Cola 600 twice, in 1967 and then again in 1975. Then he only won the Southern 500 once, in 1967. He is the all-time Cup Series pole leader with 123. He was inducted into the inaugural NASCAR Hall of Fame class in 2010. Overall, in 1,184 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Petty scored 123 poles, 200 wins, 555 top 5s, and 712 top 10s, making his debut at Toronto in 1958, following in the footsteps of his father, Lee Petty, who was also a 3-time champion in the Cup Series. In 1954, 1958, and 1959, driving for the family team, Petty Enterprises, the exact same team Richard would spend the vast majority of his career at. Though it was nothing like the NASCAR we know today, in a time when attrition would take out half the field sometimes, just through engine issues. Parts just weren't as quality as they are today. Most of the time, there were only a few teams racing for the win. Now, throughout the 1970s, as the sport grew, the competition gap would close, and the advantage Petty Enterprises held over the field for so long would essentially be gone by the conclusion of the 1970s. As any smart person does, you play the cards you're dealt. This is exactly what Richard Petty did in his prime. Brother Maurice Petty served as the family team's engine builder, providing Richard with powerful, dependable motors. Starting to win at Southern State Speedway near Charlotte in 1960, not stopping till he won his final race in 1984 with President Ronald Reagan in attendance at Daytona International Speedway. This was his 200th NASCAR Cup Series victory. In all fairness, he was driving for Mike Curb that season, not Petty Enterprises. If you don't know that story, we will get to that another time in another video. So, 200 victories, 7 Cup Series championships, won in 1964, 67, 71, 72, 74, 75, and 79. Retiring at the conclusion of the 1992 season. The Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt, has a couple things in common with Richard Petty. Both drivers followed in the footsteps of their father. Ralph was a 1956 Sportsman Division, now Xfinity Series champion, and they are both 7-time champions. To be honest, the two couldn't be more different. Whereas Petty was patient and calculative, letting attrition add up and his equipment take care of him, Earnhardt was a hard-headed, go-getter of a driver who got everything out of his equipment and sometimes more. One of the many reasons he began being called the Intimidator was because when he would show up in a driver's rearview mirror, well, they were intimidated. Here's a list of some of Earnhardt's amazing accomplishments throughout his time in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's a crown jewel winner. 1986, 92, and 93 Coca-Cola 600. 1987, 89, and 1990 Southern 500. 1995 Brickyard 400 and the 1998 Daytona 500. He's a 4-time IROC champion, and he was also inducted into the inaugural NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2010. Overall, in 676 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Earnhardt scored 22 poles, 76 wins, 281 top 5s, and 428 top 10s. Making his first start in the Cup Series in the World 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1975, bursting on the scene in 1979 behind the wheel of Rod Osterland's number 2, winning his first of 76 career Cup Series races at Bristol in the spring of the same year. Even though Earnhardt would miss 4 races in 1979, just after the halfway point of the season, due to some injuries, he would still win Rookie of the Year honors, as well as finishing 7th in final points. The next season, in 1980, Dale would win his first Cup Series championship, putting everyone in the NASCAR Cup Series on notice. Moving from team to team limited his success in the first part of the 1980s, but once he moved to Richard Childress Racing for the second and final time in 1984, things really got cooking. Winning 51 races from 1984 through 1996, winning 6 out of the next 9 championships. This in a NASCAR Cup Series where the level of competition was much higher than decades prior. Again, the continued evolution of the series. Dominating using whatever it took. Sometimes, along the way, he made some enemies, but all in the name of competition. After coming so close, so many times, Earnhardt finally won his only Daytona 500 in 1998. At the same track in 2001, Dale would lose his life in a last-lap accident, coming close to winning his 8th title in 2000, when he'd finished 2nd in final NASCAR Cup Series points. Superman Jimmie Johnson was born and raised northeast of San Diego, California. Getting a start racing motorcycles in 1980, Johnson made the switch to stock cars after off-road racing for several years, in which he won 6 championships in prior to even making the transition to stock cars, finding limited success until Jeff Gordon raced against him in the Busch Series, now Xfinity Series race, in 2000. Gordon and owner Rick Hendrick would form the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet race team to serve as a 4th Hendrick Motorsports entry, starting in 2002, with Gordon serving as his part owner. Johnson was nicknamed Superman for his superhuman abilities behind the wheel of a Hendrick Motorsports race car. Some of Johnson's awesome statistics in the Cup Series were 11 wins at Dover Motor Speedway, 9 wins at Martinsville Speedway, 8 wins at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and 7 wins at Texas Motor Speedway. He was a Crown Jewel winner. He was a 4-time Coca-Cola 600 winner in 2003, 2004, 2005, and 2014. He's a 2-time Southern 500 winner in 2004 and 2012. A 4-time Brickyard 400 winner in 2006, 2008, 2009, and 2012. And a 2-time Daytona 500 winner in 2006 and 2013. He was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2024. Overall, so far, in 700 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Johnson has scored 36 poles, 83 wins, 233 top 5s, and 375 top 10s. Johnson was fast immediately, winning in only his 13th start at California in the spring of 2002. He would win 83 times throughout his career so far, finding victory lane at Dover in the spring of 2017 for the most recent time. NASCAR changed the point system from the Lapford system that they had since the 1972 season prior to the 2004 Cup Series season, making the path to the Cup Series championship not as much about being the best all season, but rather being the best in the final 10 races, calling it the chase for the Cup. Jimmie absolutely caught fire, ending the next 14 straight seasons with 20 or more top 10 finishes. From 2006 to 2010, he won 5 straight Cup Series championships. Then again in 2013. NASCAR changed the point system again, starting in 2016, changing to a 16-driver 4-round elimination tournament to find the NASCAR Cup Series champion. Johnson won his 7th and final title in 2016. He still runs on a part-time basis today for his team Legacy Motor Club. If you had all 3 drivers in their prime in equal cars, I think that Earnhardt would definitely win. Now, as I said earlier, each driver was amazing, left an integral part on the sport. Johnson and Petty were very talented, but had the best equipment. Earnhardt had very good equipment, but made up for anything that he didn't have equipment-wise with his driving ability. Let me know down in the comment section. Who do you think was the best? Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, take care.